up, get out right out of your bed, that's your quicksand. Getting rid anxiety and head, you can fix it. Rid of stigmas, all of them you said, we ain't listening. Just remember, try to do your best, you can win this. Maurice Benard, State of Mind.
Okay. This is State of Mind. And please, and I know I keep bugging you guys. Let's get to 200,000 and just call it a day. I mean, not call it a day, because I'm not quitting, but then I'm going to ask you to get to 1 million subscriptions. If you like what you see, you hit this little thing here. But, yeah, we should be able to do it. We got to where we're at now. What's another 50,000? Who I got today is, I don't know, I clicked with him when I first met him. He had a good vibe. Not only that, he's married to a great woman who's tough as nails. I know. I'll tell you about that. But he must have an interesting life that I want to get into. Yes, he has a famous brother, but that has nothing to do with why he's here. Why he's here is because I want to learn about him. And his name is Clint Howard.
Well, thank you, Maurice.
How are you, man?
I'm well.
Yeah.
I'm well. I am 66 years old, which is, that blows me away.
Yeah.
But I'm well. And I have just a beautiful, outstanding, tough as nails wife who I think, without getting into too much detail, in this day and age, you need a tough as nails.
Yeah.
Because it's the world is wicked out there.
Yes, it is.
And boy, oh boy, you got to fight wicked with fierce.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah. And then there's other times to be sweet and nice and supportive and the whole thing. But yeah, my wife's the same way. Tough, but boy, you have to be tough putting up with everything she's gone through with me, from bipolar to anxiety to depression. Ooh, I'm getting a little choked up there.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Maurice?
yeah. Ask me anything you want.
What is your definition of bipolar?
Well, the definition of bipolar is, I was told that I have a chemical imbalance, right? That's all I can get. That's I guess the clinical definition. But I was just talking to a lot of people this week who think somebody's bipolar, and I said, well, to me, bipolar means when you're in that manic, it's like being in sixth gear and not being able to rein it in. For instance, I'm going to tell you a story. This is not about me, but I'm going to tell you a story. I had some other problems going on. I went to the acupuncture once, went twice, left there crying like a baby. But it felt fucking good, man. I was like, whoa, this is the first time I've ever felt mania in 32 years. But the difference is, when you're in a manic episode, it doesn't end. So it's every hour, every day of that feeling. It's like being on cocaine and not being able to stop. The feeling I felt was just for about 10 minutes. It was gone. But it was beautiful. And it helped me a lot, acupuncture.
Boy, me too. I didn't have acupuncture, but I had a specific moment in my life when I grew up in the entertainment business.
Yeah.
I mean, I started acting when I was 2 years old. So I don't remember when I started learning about editing, when I started learning about what a director does, what actors do, what writers do. So it's ingrained in me.
Yeah.
But I was 28 or 29 years old, and I was coming off of a very low period in my life. And I decided to make some changes, and I put the plug in the jug. And I had been skidding along bedrock for quite a long time. And so anyway, I was kind of coming to.
Right.
And I was driving along in my dad's old secondhand car that he let me drive because I didn't have a working
What kind of
vehicle.
car?
It was a 64 Chevy Nova, 3 on the tree. So anyway, I was driving along and I was at an intersection, and for a second, not for a second, for probably about 20 seconds, it was absolute euphoria, completely on the natch. Everywhere I looked, it sounded like the scene had been scored by a beautiful composer. The sound mix was just friggin' perfect. Yeah. And then I looked over here, and it was like there was a music cue that led to me watching this lady walk across the street, and all that they had in the car, all Dad had in the car was an AM radio. And between the AM radio being in sync with where my eyes were going and what I was doing, like you said, it was mania, like Fernando mania, not manic. This is new. Thank you for this, because mania, Fernando.
Yeah.
You know.
No, different.
So listen, how do we nurture mania?
Oh God, this is amazing, because this is not how I was going to start this anyway. I love when this happens. How do we nurture mania? It's a great question. I'm going to tell you how I'm doing. Well, first of all, for me, I haven't had a manic episode in 32 years. But before that, I had 3. I was in the mental institution at 21. Had my birthday in there. But I've been on lithium, man.
Okay.
Lithium, it's a salt. It's not a terrible drug or whatever you call it. And since I've been on it straight, no breakdown. What kicks my ass is anxiety. I've had depression too, bad. But this motherfucker, I call it Freddy Krueger. He comes and shit. I'm like, get back in your fucking room. Come on. But here's the way I've been able to do it lately. I have a therapist. I have a psychiatrist. I have a team of people. And my own way of doing it, acupuncture seems to be helping. I work out. I try to eat well. I read Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, where he says, listen to this, Clint. Pain loves pain. Pain despises joy. That kind of says it. If we stay in this state, it ain't gonna come. Maybe not, maybe it will. Maybe it will. But, yeah. Well, for me,
I beg to differ.
I agree. Because the problem that I've had, though, I will say this: I've never done it. All that help, and the anxiety just keeps coming at me.
Yeah.
But do you get anxiety too, right?
Sure.
Okay. When anxiety has hit me twice again in the last couple of months. But this time I did what I'm supposed to do, because I have a big problem with being uncomfortable. I don't like to be cold. If I'm comfortable, and some people don't have that, but I do. So when anxiety comes, it scares the hell out of me. I gotta run, pace around. What I did this last twice with anxiety, I just stayed in it. Felt that shit, which is ugly, but I said, I ain't moving until I want to move. And then I moved, and the anxiety left.
For me, the interesting thing about my psyche, my memory is chock full of vivid, interesting, unique snapshots that have burned a message either of warning or of you see, I told you, in my head. I have from, and it's not all the work I did as a child. In fact, my first memories that I can really count on are not memories of me acting. It's just memories of me being, you know, a 5-year-old kid, a 6-year-old kid playing tackle football. And,
Yeah.
you know, those kind of things. I do have memories of being an actor. And it's just, over the years, they've added up. They've added up to be where now, once in a while, my memory can give me anxiety.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that vivid?
Yeah. And here's another thing, too, that my mom and dad, Rance and Gene Howard, and they were Hall of Fame people. My dad was absolutely, what he did was so friggin' phenomenal because he had no business being in show business. He had no business doing what he did. And he didn't come from a great family.
Yeah.
He came out of, my dad, Rance Howard, came out of a farm in Oklahoma, and he developed the dream that he wanted to be in show business when he was about 12 or 13 years old. He ended up going to the University of Oklahoma for, I don't know, a year and a half, and then taking off with my mom, unwed, from Oklahoma to New York City to break into show business.
Damn.
And my dad was a hick. He had no business. There was nothing about my dad that where you would go, oh yeah, he's got it, you know. And he made it. He made it. I would have given him no chance.
Damn.
You know, and he did it without, he wasn't intimidated by anything. Nothing would intimidate him. He was a boxing guy. He loved boxing. He would never get intimidated by anything. And yet, because okay, real quick.
Anything, keep going.
My dad, you know, Ron, my brother,
Yeah.
Opie Taylor, Richie Cunningham, directed a few movies. Well, when he was Opie, right when he started being Opie.
I love Opie, man. I love that.
Well, you know, originally they were writing Opie to be bratty.
Okay.
Because the Danny Thomas show,
Yeah, I know that.
the show came from that same creative team. Danny Thomas, those writers, they were doing the Andy Griffith Show.
Right.
And they were starting to write Opie Bratty. And my dad, at a table read, raised his hand and said, you know, I understand that these jokes are getting laughs, but you're undermining the character and you're undermining the relationship between Andy and Opie if you've got Opie always sassing back at his pa. Why don't you have the relationship just more genuine? And they took a lunch break, and Andy Griffith, my dad said that out loud in a writer's room.
Wow.
And my dad was 32 years old at the time.
No.
Yeah.
And he wasn't one of the producers or anything.
No, he was just the guy feeding Opie lines.
Wow.
And they came back from lunch, and Andy came over and said, Rance, you know, you're right about that. We're going to work on the Opie relationship, and we're going to mirror it. Of course, I wasn't there. You know, we're going to, but believe it's to be true. We're going to mirror the Andy-Opie relationship to be more like the one you have with your son. And from there, they created Opie to be a genuine character. He's still got a few laughs.
Yeah. But he's sweet as hell.
Yeah. And my dad, was not intimidated by being in that writer's room and putting his hand up. So that's the thing about, you know, if anything from my dad, if I could bring that fact to not be intimidated. But it doesn't have to be a bully. You know, sometimes I can kind of, in my own way, be a bully.
I understand. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I can tell.
You know. So,
But Clint, this is a thing that I ask everybody. I'm going to ask you.
Sure.
And it has to do with what we're talking about right now. And obviously your dad didn't have it. Do you care what people think?
honest to God, no.
Oh, shit. It goes against my theory.
No, listen, there are a few key people, of course, my wife,
I know,
Kat,
yeah, but it's more than that.
you know.
yeah.
But no, I learned a long time ago.
That's great.
Not when I was little, but I learned a long time ago. And in fact, it was about the time that I had that epiphany and everything looked crystal clear.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was living in a little movie moment for about 20 or 30 seconds, and then it went away.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about when you're living in those moments of euphoria, mania, where everything is working. Then when it goes away,
Yeah.
what do people like us try to do? We try to resurrect it.
Try to get it again.
More.
Yeah.
The mores. I want that more. That's a good feeling. I want it.
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
So anyway, about that time, I was understanding that in my life.
The reason that I'm asking you that is because most people that don't care what people think are not mentally ill. Unless you've managed early on to figure that out. I wish I did, and I don't think I would have had as much suffering.
Listen.
It's the caring what people think that get me.
Maurice, I've been in front of a camera. I've been in front of the public all of my life.
Right.
I had people when I was 3, 4 years old tossing me on the head, telling me how cute I am, and blah 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 blah, and you know, but it was when I was in my early 30s that I had that moment of clarity where I said, you know, it's none of my business what anybody else thinks. What I have to focus on is me conducting myself in a way that is acceptable to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, my wife hates this word, but practice. I practice doing that. Now, you see, this is not like hitting golf balls practicing. This is not like taking batting practice practicing. This is like the way a doctor practices medicine.
Yeah.
You know, they call it practicing medicine. You hope that they're good at it. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, anyway, so.
No, that's a great
listen, everybody, I'm talking everybody, is on the spectrum of some sort of a line between being sane and being crazy.
Yeah, I agree with that, except it's like people say, you know, well, I have anxiety, but here's the difference that I see. Maybe everybody has anxiety, obviously, but it's the level of pain that I have to go through. It makes it the different kind of anxiety, Clint, right? It's I hate to say it, but I'll say it, wanting to kill myself. Anxiety that other people don't have.
Well, I don't know that.
Well, or they don't admit it?
Yes, I'll tell you what.
Okay.
My dad, again, going back to him, because he was my best friend.
Yeah.
I mean, Dad had a great relationship with Ron, and always did.
Did he teach Ron how to direct and all that, or not?
No, but he put him. Dad put Ron into a situation and nurtured his learning. He always encouraged him, and he always managed with a very calm, supporting, you know, unintimidated. A lot of Dad rubbed off on Ron. You know? But you see, then Dad and I connected because when I was about 7 years old, I got a role. I auditioned and won a role in a thing called Gentle Ben. Which was first it was a movie and then it was a TV series.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, and Dad and I went down to Florida and lived there for pretty much 6 months out of the year, and so we were separated from Mom and Ron for weeks at a time. They would come down and visit us often, but I really bonded with Dad down there in Florida. And it was, you know, it's kind of special. Always been close. And then Ron moved his family from the Los Angeles area to Connecticut. When he had his little kids were toddlers, Ron decided he didn't want to raise his kids in Southern California. So he moved back east. So anyway, I've been close with Dad. And, you know, got to witness him God, my dad was married for 66 of his 88 years that he was alive to two women. He was married to Mom for over 50 years, and then Mom passed away. And then within weeks, Dad had come upon a woman that he would end up marrying and being with for 16 or 17 years, Judy.
Damn.
Yeah.
So back to the bear for a second.
Yeah, sure.
How you won't come out? You got to be afraid of that bear every time. Really?
Not at all. I'll tell you what. It's funny. This is funny, and it's really simple.
A bear, man, scary.
No, well, first of all, they had animal trainers around.
Okay, I get it.
No teeth, no front teeth,
Oh, no teeth.
and no front claws. And they did the claws. They did the teeth for obvious reasons, because an accident.
Yeah, sure.
But they did the front claws because the bear's claws are not retractable like a cat.
Yeah.
Cat's claws come back.
Yeah.
But a bear's those claws just
Stay out.
And
Yeah.
if they're on cement, they rub them and they get infected. So they remove them they don't need them.
Yeah.
They don't need them to climb. But right away, the first time I met the bear was I went down to Ivan Tor's studio, went down to the animal compound, and they threw in a piece of steak. The bear sniffed it and didn't eat it. Then they threw in a box of donuts. And the bear tore into those donuts like he was in a diabetic frenzy. And with the instructions came along, you see, this bear does not like meat,
Yeah.
like sweets. They
Oh, I get you. Yeah.
they immediately fed the bear in front of me. And the bear ate things like carrots and monkey chow. And I was introduced to that bear, and I may have been nervous for an hour,
Yeah.
but it was just, listen, more than anything, and you know this from acting, the bear was a terrible acting partner.
Yeah.
Because, the bear would do this all the time in hot weather. The bear is trying to cool himself off, and you're trying to do 10 pages
Lines,
of dialogue
yeah.
a day. Come on, Ben.
Yeah.
You know.
And then,
All great experiences,
yeah.
great experiences. And listen, I had a wonderful childhood, completely unique. I just have this thing, Maurice, and I think a lot of people have it. I really liked alcohol. When I was
oh.
when I was 16 and 17 years old, my grandfather on my mom's side was an alcoholic.
Oh.
And when I was 16 years old or whatever, I drank with impunity. It didn't bother me.
What'd you drink?
Well, the first I drank beers.
Yeah.
I guess I probably snuck into Mom and Dad's alcohol stash a couple of times and had brandy. They weren't big drinkers. But the first time I really drank, maybe the second time I really drank, here's the way. Is this normal? I shotgunned beers with my buddy, where you turn a beer can upside down and you use a church key and you go,
Ooh, yeah.
yeah. So anyway, listen, I ended up on my granddad Spiegel's side of the whole genetic, pool. And I sure like to drink. So, I don't know. Listen, over the course of time, I'm sure that had something to do with my mental frame of mind.
Well, it doesn't make it better,
Yeah.
but it also, and I'm not saying this, but it could also be self-medicating too. Where it's probably helped in certain things. Not telling people to drink at all, but I'm just telling the truth here and being honest.
No, medication. I mean, alcohol is a drug.
That's what I'm saying.
Alcohol is a drug, and it's not a very clean drug, in my opinion.
Right. No.
There are a lot. Listen, with mental health, I don't think I don't think it would be a good idea. No, team out there, please,
No.
don't. But all sorts of drugs. I mean,
I'll tell you, with me, the two worst times before I got into the mental hospital, and I'm not encouraging any of this, but my state of mind audience is great. I got stoned. like the couple days before they put me into the thing. And when I got stoned, I went to sleep. And in my sleep, it was horrible, man. Like the devil and all kinds of stuff in there. And then the other time that I drank is when I threatened to kill my wife. So alcohol can really not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Well, listen, well, this conversation is going to go which way this conversation is going to go.
It's fantastic.
So, but as far as wacky tobacco, as far as cannabis, weed, I mean, in my lifetime, weed has changed just dramatically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The quality and the amount that you have to do to get. I mean, listen, cannabis is a hallucinogen.
I know.
And it gets you hallucinating. And it gets you, it plays with your mind something awful.
Yes. Yes.
And this is, God, I remember when I was 16, 17 years old, smoking grass and having to clear the seeds and the stems.
Yeah,
and now, there's no way you find a seed.
But it's stronger now, right? It's ridiculous, right?
100 times stronger.
That's not good.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not. But and like you said though about self-medicating, if all of a sudden then it's a little bit like what's that culture with the holes in the locks? You're trying to plug one hole in the dam, and then there's another hole in the dam, and there's another hole in the dam, there's another hole in the dam, and then you're just basically a garbage disposal.
Yeah. I mean, look, since we're on this whole thing, I didn't even know we're going to get into mental health, and the whole show's mental health. It's great. I believe, I'm not sure if you believe, but I don't like taking medication, but I will say if you've gotten yourself, we need to, I'm going to say it again because I've said it so much. You need to stay in first, second gear. You can go to third, fine, but don't go to fourth, fifth, and sixth. When you're in fifth and sixth, you can't do it yourself. You need something. You need to get professional help, some kind of medication. That's what I've done. Because when you're out here, it's too close. At least I can speak for myself. If I don't get that kind of help, the alternative is
dark. The alternative is dark.
Dark, right.
And I don't like dark.
No.
That's one thing about us as people. I hate to use the word human beings. I mean, we're not goats.
Yeah.
That physical fitness, keeping your body healthy, keeping your blood flowing. We are huge devotees of sauna and jacuzzi and massage. I am a huge devotee.
Yes.
Since I had my first hip operation, I have 2 artificial hips. Since I had my first hip operation, for a long time I was taking 2 jacuzzis a day, 1 in the morning.
Damn.
Yeah. I found sauna, getting a massage. In fact, that's where I met Kat. I know you met her through martial arts family and dojos.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. That's where I want to try to get this
great.
because that physical fitness, that discipline of boxing. I'm a boxing guy. I'm not a kickboxer.
Yeah.
Kat was a kickboxer, and Kat was Sensei Benny, and from the Jets gym, and all that stuff is next level.
It's great. Yes.
Next level. Boxing is the level, though. I'll tell you what, and my wife, Kat, has explained it so perfectly well, that it gets so quiet in the ring when you're fighting somebody, and there is such a love you have for your opponent when you're spitting blood that is being caused by your opponent's punches.
Yeah.
At the end of a fight, you love them.
Yeah.
And the way Kat explained that, it has been profound, and she got me into hitting mitts and working out and training. I've never sparred with anybody, if I sparred with somebody, I mean, like she always says, I ended up being like a Mexican fighter. Just my head would be down and I'd be shoe shine, shoe shine, shoe shine, shoe shine.
I just boxed yesterday with Jeff. He trained me. It was fantastic.
Yeah. But that physical,
It's amazing.
the
yes.
physical thing, I think, is a huge key. And,
It is a huge key.
you know,
What about cold plunge?
yeah, you know, I do cold plunge. The trouble is I immediately then realize, why am I doing something that makes it feel like somebody's putting knives in my ankles? It hurts so bad. But we do. We have a setup at our home that's beautiful. We have a sauna, we have a jacuzzi and a sauna, and a pool that is unheated. Well, I mean, we do have a heater. We never turn it on. Especially in the wintertime when it gets down to 62 or 63 degrees, that water.
Yeah.
That's a cold plunge.
Yeah.
But that's not one of those ones at one of these foo-foo
They
places.
put ice and stuff.
Well, yeah, where if you claim you can get some sort of euphoric feeling if you stay in it for 120 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know.
So growing up, then you got so many. Now we can get we've mental health this thing like I love it to death, but I do love it. How was Don Knotts, man? Was he cool, or did he get upset every so often?
No, Don's reputation was unbelievable. He was solid. Him and Andy were very solid. Now, I don't remember working with Don.
Yeah.
Got to remember, when I was on the Andy Griffith Show, I was 3 and 4 years old. You know, so I don't have any of those memories, but I am fortunate enough to have gotten to know Don as an elderly man and Andy. I got to know them later in life. They had an affinity for Ron and for my dad. And the family, that Andy Griffith Show family, was second to none.
Beautiful, man.
You know, and so later in life, I got to spend quite a bit of time chatting with Don and spending a lot of time with Andy. Andy and I worked in Andy's last movie, which it's nothing great at all. But Andy wanted to keep working, and he was in a movie called Play the Game, and I worked on the movie. I played his estranged son in the movie.
Oh, really?
I don't want to recommend anybody going to see it.
Yeah, right.
But it was, I got to spend a lot of time with Andy. And
So at that age, could he still deliver? Was he?
Oh yeah, Andy
always knowing the lines?
always knew the lines, always get laughs. Andy knew where the jokes. Don gave me a wonderful tutorial on comedic acting. I was getting ready to do a project that ended up not getting made. It was very close to getting made, and it just didn't get made. And I was going to play this assistant manager of a coffee house. And he was like, as best described, he was like Barney Fife on steroids.
Yeah.
And that's how I would tell people, I'm going to play this like Barney Fife. And everybody thought that was great. And with about a week to go before we started shooting, I said, you know, I have access to Don. I can call Don and ask him. So I gave Don a call. And Don was probably a year or two before he passed.
Damn.
But he was still very alert. I called him and I said, Don, I'm getting ready to do this part, this kind of nervous little, you know, assistant manager of a coffee house, and talk to me about comedy. And Don gave me the greatest lesson about comedy, the difference between Mr. Furley and Barney Fife. He laid it all out about, you know, and Barney Fife was a character. It was a real character. It was a character comedy. You needed to know where the laughs were, but you needed to stand up straight. You needed to not, it was more like acting. Farce, Mr. Furley, Three's Company. He explained how Three's Company was. Three's Company was like a bedroom farce. And Mr. Furley was a farcical character. And he always would lean into the laughs. So the way Don would explain it, he physically would kind of lean into a laugh, where Barney wouldn't lean into it.
Whoa.
Anyway,
That's cool.
It was a 15 or 20 minute conversation I had with him about this. And the movie ended up not getting made, and I didn't speak to Don again. He passed away. And then at his memorial service, I believe it was his daughter came up to me and said, I just want to let you know that my dad had such a wonderful time talking with you. about comedy. And the only thing that he worried about is that he didn't make sense. And I said to her, I says, no, trust me. Don made all the sense in the world.
Damn.
You know, it's really wonderful. You know, senior citizens, elderly people, especially with like Andy and Don and my dad, just what treasures of information. Now, every once in a while, there can be a senior that kind of goes off the rails.
I get you.
But generally speaking, I think that we need to embrace seniors more.
I agree. Yeah, you're right.
And
kids.
Yeah.
Little kids.
Little kids, yeah.
'Cause they have, you know.
We have a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
I adopted.
Well, at that age, let them.
Yeah. I adopted Rafi.
Wow.
Cat's last child.
Beautiful. I adopted too.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And I was childless. I hadn't had any children.
Damn.
And all of a sudden, to know Rafi as a 10-year-old, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, quinceañeras and
wow.
the beginnings of being interested in boys and that whole thing and the dynamic of being dad and you know, kind of stepdad, but dad and wanting to be strong. But then, you know, it's another beautiful thing about the Cat shared with me is that through her life, she was the mother and the father.
Yeah.
She never had, she in the past, until she came along and hooked up with me, she didn't have somebody that was dad.
Yeah.
So there were times, and I've watched her, there's times that, I can see she's wearing the dad hat and the mom hat.
Yeah, wow.
And that's what, like, my scenario is I had a loving set of parents. It was not a broken home, far from a broken home.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing that was unique, well, listen, being in show business is unique.
Yeah.
But mom and dad, when their roots were in Oklahoma, and when they traveled first to New York and then out to Los Angeles to make a career in the entertainment business and to have a family, they didn't bring any of their relatives with them. I mean, I met my grandparents once or twice.
Yeah.
I spent a little bit of time with my granddad, and I know of one cousin. I truthfully, in my life, have had contact with one cousin and limited activity with my aunts and my uncles. Now, Kat's, she's Latina.
I know.
And so there's literally hundreds of cousins. And mom and dad just made the break, and the Howard family was a small little unit.
It's kind of the way we were, yeah. Wow.
I don't know.
But you don't strike me as, you weren't someone who had a problem with your brother's success.
No, listen, I love Ron.
I know. I'm sitting here with you right now going, this guy was just like, everything was just great, man.
I tell you what, I was always very honest and open with him about when he was getting directing opportunities, that I would share with him my opinion about, I think that's good. I don't think that's so good.
Right.
You know, I like that. I didn't, not my cup of tea. And so, Ron and I have a really unique experience. I'll tell you what, here's a little plug. Ron and I wrote a book a couple of years ago called The Boys.
Oh, really?
It's called The Boys, a memoir of Hollywood and family. It was a HarperCollins book, and it was a not a novel, a biography. Well, not a wait. Let me get this right.
Autobiography?
It was an autobiography about our years growing up in show business, because it was very unique. I mean, Ron started when he was 3 or 4 years old, and I technically started when I was 2.
Damn.
So we had a hell of a run of being in the entertainment business.
I mean, your parents must be like, damn, this is amazing.
And it was dumb luck, Maurice. It was an absolute accident that Ron got into the business. And then I got into the business because Ron was working on the Andy Griffith Show, and Mom would take me down to the set to kind of babysit me to watch Ron. If my dad had something to do, my dad would stay with us most of the times as actors. But then once in a while, Mom would have to watch Ron. And she drugged me down to the set one day, and I was playing, and the director, Bob Sweeney, saw me and said, there's a funny bit I could do. Can we make him an extra? And so they gave me a bit to do, and I got a laugh, and they had me back, and I did 5 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show.
Dang.
Then I had an agent. I was a 3-year-old kid with an agent.
3.
Yeah. Well, Ron had an agent right
But you
away.
couldn't. Did somebody go say this? Say this?
Sort of. Dad.
Right? Yeah. Like, you know.
Dad was the
And you
whisper-
just said the lines, but you were so expressive and good that it came out like real and stuff.
No, Dad would always explain to me why.
Oh yeah,
Listen, my
that's the
acting-
key, man.
Why?
Why is the key?
What's the motivation?
Yeah,
One of the earliest acting lessons I ever got, the earliest. Know where your character has been,
right,
know what he wants to do,
right,
and know where he thinks he wants to go to.
right.
Motivation and intention.
Yeah. Where the character has been has always been like, I just because on the soap you're in and out. Of
Well,
it.
yeah. But
You know what I'm talking about. You did a soap. You did Young and the Restless, right?
Oh, man. No, let's see. I did Bold and the
Bold and the
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
13 episodes.
Damn.
4 episodes in one day.
Not easy.
When they tried to get me out of there. They didn't want to,
They don't want to pay.
They were nice. I loved working on it. I had my, listen, you did that for a long time.
I've been doing it for 32 years.
It's an interesting,
It's not.
it's an interesting animal.
It is an interesting.
I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't to start with. I thought, you soap opera bullshit.
Yeah.
But listen, there is a great, to be able to do it well. First of all, you can't get to 100%. You can't think as an actor, you can't think I'm going to nail it every time. If I can get within 75% of what I feel like is an optimum performance.
You know what I tell people?
What?
As long as you can get to telling the truth, that's enough. You can't do more. Because if you think you're going to do more, probably not. Just tell the truth, and that's enough.
And then just accept the fact that in 30 seconds, they're going to say, hold, we're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
And the crew and the cast is marching down.
Oh, that way down there.
It's fun. I
All right,
enjoy it.
Clint, look. I don't know. I think we've talked. This has been absolutely, for me, well, let me just, there's nothing else I really, because I wanted to ask you about marriage, but you covered that. And there's a lot of movies you've done, and but it's no point, really. We've talked such a great talk. You're a golfer. We didn't talk about that. Okay. Tell us about golfing.
Well, I love golf. Golf saved my brain for a long time as a young man playing golf. Well, first of all, golf saved my life and saved my brain, because when I was a 30-some-odd-year-old guy, and I had played a little bit in the past, and I was trying to be an actor, and I was trying to do things right, I would go off and play golf 3 or 4 days a week, and I would walk every round I would play. And it was just a great way to get out of my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Golf was a
so
great-
many actors play golf, and they love it.
Yeah. I played for a long time, and finally my second artificial hip kind of, I couldn't hit a ball more than about 130 yards. And I just said, fuck it. I said, I don't need to do this. I played all over the world, played in St. Andrews. I played Pebble Beach a bunch, all over. I caddied professionally. I had a lot of great experiences, and finally I said, I've done it enough. And I regret doing it. I'll tell you, just a couple of weeks ago, I played in a celebrity golf tournament for the first time in about 12 years,
Damn.
which was fun.
And he just picked it up.
Well, sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, shotgun scramble's kind of
Yeah.
easy. But, Cat kicked me in the butt and said, you got to go out and do this. So I did it.
All right, Clint. Let me talk to the audience. Let me kiss your ass a bit more, like I haven't kissed it enough all day. But it's worth it, because I just want to say about Clint Howard. He came in here and pretty much gave a clinic, mental health, his life acting as a 3-year-old. And it was just, he did it with so much class, I think, for me. Just, there was nothing, we were just, here's the truth. It's like we've known each other for a long time. You can't watch this conversation and think to yourself, this is the first time I've talked to Clint Howard. You're going to go, damn, they probably knew each other from way back in high school or whatever the hell. But it was refreshing. It was great. And you guys are going to dig this one. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you. We barely scratched the surface.
Barely, and we'll do it again. We'll do it. I got to, okay, just get back on the thing.
The podcast that doesn't end.
I thought a couple times, not that this is going to happen and not that Clint wants it to happen, but we should do some shows where we're both the host, just bullshitting. Have maybe a guest come in or not have a guest come in. You're just bullshitting, like, you know.
That could be the name of it. Bullshitting.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Thank you.
Peace.